Welcome back to another episode of JT Talks Jobs. This is the show that teaches you everything school didn't about job search and career growth. And today we're going to be talking about job scams. I do not have a slide deck today. I am just going to talk to you from the heart a little bit about what we're seeing out there right now and some things that I really want you to keep in mind. And then I want to open it up to general questions and answers just to make sure that you all are on the same page with respect to this. So again, very sensitive topic. There are a lot of job scams going on right now. They will continue to increase, especially with all that's going on in the economy. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. And I really want to make sure that you are all being super careful if you're out job searching right now so that you don't get taken advantage of by one of these scams. Before I begin, though, I want to remind you about two huge live events that we have coming up. First of all, on October 22nd, we are hosting our very first Career Change Bootcamp. So if you are somebody in this pandemic, in this time, who have said, you know what, it might be time for a career change, this is going to be the session for you. It's a half-day session. It's going to be info-packed. We're going to walk you through everything that you need to understand and do to successfully change careers. And this is something they definitely don't teach you in school. So be sure to check out that link. I know the team is sharing with you. It's only $5 to reserve your spot for this amazing session. So again, it's a half-day session, live private event where you're working with myself and Ariella, the head of coaching at Work It Daily. We work with people on career change all the time, and this is the stuff that you just have to know in order to lay that foundation to be successful. The second live event that we have coming up is going to be our third Job Search Summit. We're so excited about this. Wait, third, maybe fourth. Hold on. I think it might be our fourth. Oh my gosh. We're doing our full day Job Search Summit intensive. This is where you learn everything: LinkedIn, resume, cover letter, interview prep, networking, all of the foundational things you need to be successful at job search. So if you've never taken one of our summits, they're a blast. I think they're a blast because of the people that attend them. Everyone's just got a great mindset and energy. And it's a wonderful way to just ignite your job search and get it in gear, you know, because you got to do that. And so the all-day summit is only $10 to attend. I know the team is sharing the link with you there. So again, October 22nd, half-day Career Change Bootcamp. October 28th, full-day Job Search Summit. Both are live events with myself and the head of coaching at Work It Daily. We really hope to see you there. We love doing these events, and we know they're changing lives. So enough about that. Let's get down to talking about job scams. So if you're an active job seeker right now, please understand that there are just some terrible, terrible, terrible individuals out there that are putting together scams designed to take your money. I need you to, before you apply to any job online, to always do your due diligence. And don't just assume because a job is posted on LinkedIn or Glassdoor or Indeed or Monster, some of these well-known sites, that it's not a potential scam. These very big companies, they try to vet scams as much as they can, but they don't always catch them. So anytime you see an opportunity that doesn't have all the information that it should, and that seems too good to be true, I would tell you that it probably is. And especially if it's not on any of these major sites, if it's just this independent ad that you see somewhere, please, there are things that you need to make sure of before you ever apply to a company. So let's talk through that, okay? The first thing that you want to do is validate that the company has a real website. Go over to the website, check it out, make sure it's not a page long, really do your homework. Any good established company is going to have a website with multiple pages. They're going to have an about section. You're going to be able to figure that out about them. Step 2, you want to Google search this company. Legitimate companies now have validation on Google. You should be able to find their Google information. You should see lots of things written about them, right? There should be, information written about these individuals, this company, and it's time in the media, news, things like that. Third thing, you should go over to Glassdoor. Please go over and see if they've got a legitimate profile. If people have commented over there, see if they're established. They may not always be if it's a smaller firm, but it's still always worth checking on Glassdoor which leads to the fourth one, which is Indeed. Indeed now also offers company profiles, and you want to check there as well. Okay, so the first thing you do when you see a company is you do your due diligence. Check their website, check Google, check LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Indeed. You got to make sure that these companies have some sort of established presence. You may even want to go so far as to try to find their social media presence. That's another big red flag. If you go to all these different things that I've mentioned, but they don't have a strong, well-defined, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, these are red flags, because all good companies these days know they need to be on social media. So if you're not seeing that, that's also a red flag. Okay, so those are the foundations. Now we're moving on to more tricky stuff. You want to take the company name, go to Google or go to an internet search, put in their name and put in scam. So let's say, ABC Corp reaches out to you, recruiter. I'm a recruiter from ABC Corp, and I'd really love to talk to you about my job that pays $120,000 a year working from home. Okay, so first thing you want to do is take that ABC Corp and go put it in Google and put the word scam after it and see if anybody's written about it. You will find there are sites like Snopes, which helps you try to identify these kinds of fake scammers as well, if you wanted to invest in that. But even just that first search with scam can help you figure out if there's been any bad reviews or anybody else claiming that the company has been scamming people, okay? So that's just step one. Step one is just doing all of that research. And I know you're thinking, but JT, why do I have to research for a job? Again, in a pandemic with this many people unemployed, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And do you want to be burned? And I'm going to talk about why in a second, okay? So now once you've done that, all of that due diligence, now you want to take a look at who is reaching out to you. So does the recruiter have a legitimate email address tied to the company, or is it a Gmail? If it's a Gmail, what's going on there? Okay. Does the recruiter have a legitimate profile on LinkedIn with a photograph and it's active and they have followers and you can see that people have connected with this profile and this person is posting and active on LinkedIn? Again, if they don't, what's that about? So you have to extend yourself and say, who's the source? And, are they a legitimate person? Because again, there are so many of those Gmail accounts that are fake. And then the last thing I just want to say is anytime they're out of the gate asking for things like your social security number, your banking information, anything that's super personal, and you don't even have a written offer letter yet and an acceptance and all of that, you should be very, very worried. And so I'm going to give you an example, because this has unfortunately happened to several people who have since joined us at Work It Daily after being scammed. So a quote unquote recruiter reached out to them, had a Gmail address, reached out to them on LinkedIn, said they had a work from home job that fit their description. Could they have a conversation? They got on a call. It was supposed to be a Zoom call, but the person wasn't on camera. The recruiter said, I'm not in a good location. I'm just going to have to Zoom with you, voice only. They noticed that the person they were talking to had a foreign accent. So the person, English wasn't their first language. They asked him a bunch of really basic questions about their skill set. And then they told them they were really excited about them as a candidate for this role, and that it would require them to have a very specific type of computer and some technology, which the company was happy to reimburse them for and to give them money so that they could go out and buy it, that they would give them the tech requirements and that they would wire them the money to go buy the computer so they could set themselves up to start to do this job, which paid very well. So what did these people do? They gave them their bank account information so they could wire them the money. And what did the scammers do? Drain their bank accounts. Because if you give them the information, it's not just them giving you money, they can take money. And I've seen somebody lose $7,000. I've seen somebody lose $5,000. And I've seen somebody lose $1,500 already with this type of scam. Okay, folks? So you have got to be careful. No company should be asking for banking information to wire you money. That's not how it works. It's not how any of that works. Direct deposit is something very different. We would be able to take a check and be able to set direct deposit up without having to have any of that kind of information. in HR. So there's just, you have to just really test back on these theories. And when in doubt, when you're like, something about this doesn't feel right, this was too easy, right? They're offering a lot of money. This is a lot of questions. Please double check with somebody, check with a resource. If you know somebody in HR like myself, give them the specifics, have other people research the company. Just look this stuff over, because right now they are preying upon so many desperate people out there right now, knowing that people will, just in their hopes, give their banking information, right? And so you've just got to be super, super careful right now, okay? Now, the one last thing I want to mention, and then I'm going to take some questions, is that some people will see job postings and they won't tell you who the company is. So before you assume that's a scam, please know that in the staffing industry, which I came from, it was common to post jobs and not tell you the name of the company, but tell you a little bit about them, because we don't want you going directly to the company. We want to be the ones that present you to the company, because that's how we get paid. And so that's why we're posting job opportunities. That being said, a reputable staffing firm will always make it clear who they are, that they are the staffing firm representing the company. And you should be able to do the same due diligence that I just explained to you on the staffing firm. Okay, there'll be a legitimate recruiter, there'll be legitimate information online. So if there is a job posting and they're saying they're a staffing company and they can't give you the name, you still have to do your due diligence on that staffing company. And if you can't get that info, then it's a scam. Okay, and you want to stay away from that one as well. All right, I'm going to stop there because I really want to be able to take some questions today. So I'm going to scuff off my glasses and see what questions we have from all of you. So first of all, Beverly says, my daughter actually received a $4,007 check in the mail to purchase things for an orphanage, and it's a scam. You deposit the check, then the check bounces, and then you're on the hook to the bank to replace the funds. Wonderful. Beverly, thank you. Thank you for, that's another version of the scam. It's terrible, right? But it's absolutely terrible. It's so important, folks, that anything that sounds even remotely too good to be true right now, it is. You know, there's a saying, and I've been using it a lot lately, is that if you want a good life, you make hard choices. If you want an easy life, you make hard choices. If you want a hard life, you make easy choices. If these job situations are too easy, it's not going to end well. It really isn't. Kendra says, JT, are there any legitimate work from home job sites that you could recommend? So Kendra, that's interesting that you say that. There are some sites that are building themselves out on a subscription basis. So sites like FlexJobs and freelancer.com. These are sites that are trying to vet organizations for that kind of work, and some charge you a subscription fee and some don't. Even still then, don't just assume that they've done all their due diligence for you and that those are all going to be safe. You still want to do your due diligence on your own. But those are two, and I'm not associated with them in any way. I have no relationship with them. FlexJobs and freelancer.com are two that you could potentially check out. Pam says, thank you for sharing this information, JT. I'm a corporate recruiter and candidates have called to research. I love that. Scammers are brave enough to use real company names and leaders' names to engage people. It's so sad that this happens, but it does. And the Gmail address is a great clue. It certainly is, Pam, and thank you for chiming in as a corporate recruiter to validate that. You are proving my point. They do steal people's names. I've had my profile stolen so many times on LinkedIn, you wouldn't believe it, folks. And the good thing is LinkedIn, people usually find it and we're able to catch it. So you have to do that due diligence. You have to be thinking about, would that person really be reaching out to you? And can you continue to call and validate, like Pam said, companies are never going to fault you for wanting to confirm that something is legitimate. Jane says, are legitimate companies allowed to check your stubs, your check stubs or W-2s to verify your income? Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Jane. So companies can do background checks on your W-2 and find out your actual pay, just so you know. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but they can do that and find out what you've been paid. They can ask you for your W-2s as a way to validate. They would not be able to steal your information, and you could actually, before giving it to them, white out things like social security numbers or whatever might be on there. But most of the time, the pay stub is the safest way to go, because think about it, there's no real info they can steal from you on the pay stub. And if there is, obviously you could go ahead and cross that out. But the reason they're doing that, Jane, is that sometimes people lie about how much they made in the past. And if they get the sense that you really didn't make what you said you were making, they're going to want proof of that. Because if you're asking for more money and you're saying that's what you were paid before, and they don't believe it, that's usually when they're asking you for those W-2s or those pay stubs. But by the way, that never should happen until you've been through the interview process, you've vetted the company, you've been given a formal offer, and we really know they're the real deal and they just want to validate that, okay? So if somebody asks you that, you can say, I can give you those, but let's get through the interview process first. And once you're sure you want me and you make me a formal offer, I'm happy to show you those stubs, okay? That's what I would do in that case. That way you're not saying no, because there are some companies that ask, but we're not doing that too soon in the process. Does this happen in the US? There's more protection in the UK. Yes, Safia, it happens very frequently in the US. We have a lot of foreign scammers that are trying to scam folks in the US that don't realize that. So we're seeing a ton of it, unfortunately. It's really, really challenging. And it breaks my heart, because they prey on people that they know have been unemployed and are between jobs and really are in need of money and are looking for, say, stay-at-home opportunities. There's lots of people, unfortunately, with time in their hands to be able to come up with these kinds of, scams and ways to steal from people. And it just gets more and more common with the technology. So we see it an awful lot, just so you know. While I'm waiting, as we go through this, just a reminder, folks, October 22nd is our very first Career Change Bootcamp. And on October 28th, a week later, is our full-day Job Search Summit. So the Career Change Bootcamp is a half-day session specifically focused on how to change careers and how to brand yourself to do that. The Job Search Summit is a full-day summit designed to help you get all of the things that you need in place in order to be successful in job search. Both of them are live events, real-time events, where you're getting trained by experts and you're just igniting your efforts. And we have found this to be so successful in the pandemic. It's why we're doing more and more of these, because it's just such an incredible way for people to get their questions answered, get the information they need, and really just, like I said, jumpstart what they're working on by just dedicating themselves to that half day or that full day event. So they're very inexpensive. We've done that intentionally. I've heard about a lot of companies out there that are gouging people for hundreds of dollars and sometimes thousands of dollars to attend events. Our events are super inexpensive. We literally do them to cover our costs because we're really trying to make a difference. So if you need this, now's the time. Now's the time to invest in yourself for sure. Another question from Gary. Gary says, just received an email from a recruiter without any phone number or email below the signature. The recruiter's name is not in LinkedIn. Should I respond? So if you got an email, you obviously can see the email of the person, Gary. And if that email is a Gmail account, I would not respond. Absolutely not. Take a look at who sent you the email. Take a look at if it's a Gmail account or if it's a company, and that's what you can do your due diligence off of. But the fact to me that they're not putting their contact info, some recruiters don't because they don't want phone calls, but it does seem a little odd to me if there wasn't anything legitimate there. But the email that they sent it from is the one that you really need to take a look at. Alex Jr. over on YouTube says, how about an NPO offering training program cost about $1,000 for interpretation service once completed? The participant can be the vendor of the organization and be given freelance assignments. Ooh. So I worry about anything like that. What I would do is ask for testimonials, and I would ask to speak to graduates. So before you spend $1,000 on a program, you really need to talk to multiple people who are actually being successful at this after the fact. I would, again, also check it out on Snopes. I would Google search scam and make sure that this isn't one of those as well. Anytime they're telling you, you pay for this training and then we'll make assignments available to you, but I guarantee there are no guarantees, You could spend $1,000 on that and not end up getting anywhere and being able to use it in any way, especially if it's only specific to their platform. So please be careful with that. We've got a comment here. It says, some of these scammers in South Africa ask candidates for money up front to do a criminal and a credit check. I always tell my friends that they only think you should pay is for getting there. Is this good advice? If a company wants you, they pay for the credit and criminal check, or they can tell you where to have the credit or criminal check done, and you can pay for it yourself. Don't give them money. Absolutely not. You don't give them money for it. You either pay for the credit and criminal check directly yourself so that you have it as a record for yourself so that you can use it with multiple employers. That's the key. Or they should be covering the costs. Absolutely. Tone says, I got an email from someone that wants to connect on WhatsApp. I don't see the name on LinkedIn, but I see the company name on LinkedIn. What do you think? I'm very concerned. If the company name's on LinkedIn, but this person isn't on WhatsApp, that seems very, very odd to me. Why would they want to connect with you on WhatsApp? Why aren't they connecting with you directly through LinkedIn? So I would message the person back and say, I'd be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. I only use WhatsApp for personal. Can we connect on LinkedIn? Or, you can send me an email, and then you could start to do your research that way. But there's nothing wrong with saying, I want to do an alternative to WhatsApp. That's pretty important. And again, LinkedIn would be the perfect place to do that, by the way, Tony. Susan says, have you ever seen an offer letter faked? How to watch out for that? Yeah, I have seen offer letters faked. Absolutely, Susan. So once again, you want to take a look at the information that they're offering you and seeing if it's a very basic one, that could be a red flag. But you also want to read it carefully for the fine print. And once again, ask if you can speak to some people at the company. So if you have any doubts, Susan, one thing that you could do is you could say, I'm really excited about this opportunity and I definitely want to accept, but I would love to speak to somebody in the role similar to mine just to hear about their experience before I accept, to make sure that there's not anything I'm forgetting to ask before I accept the assignment or accept the role. So there should be any good company that offers you the chance, offers you a job, should be absolutely okay with letting you talk to an employee before you get hired. Absolutely okay. Think about that. If the only person you're talking to is a recruiter or a hiring manager, that should concern you. You should be able to say, can I talk to a coworker? Can I talk to an employee? I'd just love to hear what it's like to work at the company from a third source. No, any company that really wants you isn't going to have a problem with that. So that's how I would test back on that. That way you can find out if the job offer is legitimate or not. Should we be careful of people who want to interview in restaurants? Well, that's really interesting. In the past, people interviewed in restaurants because they didn't have office space. And now people, really don't have office space. They've given it up. I think that most interviews are happening via Zoom first here, but eventually you're meeting in person. I don't have a problem with meeting in restaurants at all if you've done your homework and you know the person's legitimate. So do your research on the person, make sure they've got a LinkedIn profile, make sure you've covered all your bases, and then, yeah, it's absolutely okay to go meet in a restaurant, especially if the job's going to be virtual. Sophia says, what about other job boards? I suddenly started getting all kinds of emails from different boards. I either unsubscribed or deleted all of them except Indeed and Glassdoor. Sophia, that is a very wise move. Here's the thing, folks. The number of job postings on the big boards is down and will stay down, because companies aren't going to post their jobs on these boards. They're going to post them on their websites directly. Here's why. If I go post a job on Indeed right now, I'll probably get 1,000 to 2,000 applicants in 24 hours. I can't physically go through 2,000 applicants. And so companies know that. So instead, they post their jobs directly on their own company websites, and then they send out an email internally to friends and coworkers and say, we're posting for this job if you know somebody. And they post it on their career site, and people who follow the company who really want to work for the company will network and find out about the job and apply directly, right? Now, it's not to say that there won't be job postings on Indeed and Glassdoor and LinkedIn, but at least companies they have to pay to post on those sites. So it can help reduce the number of illegitimate postings, but postings overall are down. So when you start getting all these random postings from quote unquote job boards that you don't remember ever applying to or hearing, scam. And you don't need to be on all of those. You need to be very focused on your job search, know what kinds of employers you want to work for, and really work with those reputable boards, okay? Be super careful with that. Great question, by the way, Sophia. Roger's saying, hi, JT. I get requested to do consulting work as an industry expert via LinkedIn. They offer to pay me to talk about the industry I'm in. I always turn it down. I often consider doing this. Are there risks? It's interesting you say that, Roger. So I actually, that happened to me this year, and a company came to me, and I did extensive research on the company. And what they do is private equity and investors who are doing due diligence and research will recruit and want to meet with you, and they'll pay you for your time, and you set a price for your time, and you go through this kind of whole process and contract process, and then you speak to them. If you're comfortable with that, I mean, I did it one time because I wanted to see the experience and offer it to others. It's fine. As an industry expert, if you're being contacted, then they care. And you know, for example, for me, I get called a lot. I did it once, and I did get paid, and everything was fine. But again, I did my homework on the company, vetted their information online, looked at all of that information and confirmed. So I knew they were the real deal, and checked them out just like I've advised you all today. After that, you know, I've had people reach out to me and say, oh, they pay me this or that, but I don't bother. I think if you work through one of these reputable third-party sources where they protect your information, it's totally fine to do, and it can be a great way to earn side income. Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today. Again, just wanted to have a really honest conversation with all of you about scammers. Be careful out there. So much bad stuff going on, but we can be smart about it. Remember, if it looks too good to be true, if it sounds too good to be true, it really probably is. You've got to do your homework. This is your career at stake, your finances at stake. So please be careful, okay? And again, if you're looking for help with your job search or career change, I hope you'll think about our 2 upcoming live events. They're a lot of fun. They're info-packed. They're very inexpensive. We promise you're going to love the return on the investment, okay? So half-day career change event, October 22nd, full day job search summit, October 28th. Awesome. I hope to see you there. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. I'll see you soon. Until next time, remember what I always tell you. If you want to win, you got to work it daily.